Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Deputy Secretary, for such moving and appropriate opening statement. I think we do a lot especially in agriculture and alphabet soup. Whether we call it Dole McGovern or USAID or USDA or this program and that program. We certainly saw a lot of them. World Food Program when we're looking internationally. But the reality is that for those of us who have been to these places, especially rural communities in countries like El Salvador and countries like Ethiopia, we see the absolute critical need to engage. And that engagement isn't just about humanitarian interest, it is in our national security interest. And we're seeing again, because of the disruption of security in El Salvador, we're seeing a surge again at the border of unaccompanied minors, a lot of those children who are most at risk. And I've been to El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala in the last, probably 4 or 5 months, and have seen what that migration from rural areas for lack of ability to make a living to urban areas, the disruption, the social disruption that's created, and what's happened in terms of risk. And so I want to talk not just about these programs, but talk about the value of these programs in getting to those communities where then you can start talking about soil science. You can start talking about co-ops. You can start talking about storage of crops, maybe even get a little electricity so that they can download weather reports. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that we will never be able to feed the world from relief programs. And so I'd like you to just speak to how this gives you an entree into those communities and what advice you would give us as we move through, I think, this discussion about food security and making sure that committees like the Ag Committee remain in charge of this distribution, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create more opportunity globally for farmers.
Thank you, Senator. And you and I have talked about these issues many times, and I know we share a passion for them, and so it's great to be with you today. A lot of things you hit on are so true. I think we all know that it's much better if kids are listening to a teacher instead of their empty stomach growling. And that is what our programs are able to do, and it does build stronger communities. It offers jobs when we are in a location and can actually provide opportunity for the young people to be educated and to help their families, help their communities. So I've seen the benefits of our programs and our work on the ground, and I hope that this committee continues to provide us the flexibilities like with LRP and other reforms that give us more tools and the tools to work with folks. As I said earlier, people don't want a handout. They want a partner. And I think that's what we are at USDA. I think that we relate so well to folks in rural communities. When I'm on the ground, it is like rural communities here. It is so fun to sit and talk with a group of farmers. I always talk to women farmers, as you know, but men and women farmers relate to each other. You could be anywhere except for some language barriers sometime. It's anywhere. They're worried about weather. They're worried about what's happening on their operations. They're worried about their families. Farmers and ranchers are the same at the heart level. I do believe that. And we have so many tools here that we can share. And I think we need to do that.
We have a lot of really great partners in the philanthropic world. Howard Buffett, the Gates Foundation, very involved. We saw their work in terms of doing extension. But one of the things, and I had a chance to just spend time with Mike Johans before he left, who I have just such tremendous respect for. And I said, what's, doing international work, what's the one priority that you think we should exercise? And he said, building out co-ops, and that extension. Extension and co-ops have really, they're the bedrock of what we've been able to do in American agriculture. How can we do a better job assisting in building out, farmer-to-farmer relationships internationally, and then obviously, extension, which is critically needed?
I think a couple of things, and I've mentioned some of them already with our Cochrane Borlaug exchanges. I think having folks come from other countries come to the U.S. to understand how we do that and how things are set up to be able to take that back home and do it working with folks. There is no doubt Extension and our land-grant systems are the envy of the world, and we probably take them for granted pretty much. But being able to help do that in co-ops as well, and for women in particular, I think it's very helpful. These are small farm holders. They're not large, so you don't need a huge, great tractor. You need a small machine or tool that you can actually share and work together. I saw a great co-op milk collection in Rwanda this summer where the milk is delivered sometimes by hand and by bicycle, a can strapped to the back of a bicycle or maybe a little motor scooter. This is, a couple of cows, but it's delivered every day, and these farmers, many of them are women, are bringing their milk there together, and it's pasteurized and provided for the local community. So there are small co-ops. It's a different concept. It's teaching and kind of explaining and gathering the information and sharing it with many of the farmers in other countries. We kind of just take it for granted. We understand how working together might be, make sense. We have to help teach and guide and show them how this can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.